Hey guys, welcome to the channel, and if you have clicked on this video, then I am going to put this out there again. This video contains spoilers. This is my full review on the 2025 remake, relaunch, whatever you want to call it, for Lilo and Stitch. Again, this video contains spoilers. If you don't want to know, if you haven't seen the movie yet, you don't want to know, click away. All right, good talk. Let's go. So, obviously, it's opening weekend for Lilo and Stitch for Mission Impossible. There was no way, like I said in my quick take, that we were going to make it through this weekend without talking about Lilo and Stitch. It has all of the earmarks, in my opinion, that we would expect from a live-action Disney movie, from Lilo and Stitch. I think, all in all, it was really, really well done. But there are some things I want to touch on that I feel like maybe kind of rubbed me the wrong way, despite the fact that I still love the film, right? Like, this is me being nitpicky at this point, right? I will say in advance, because I know someone's going to comment on it, right? A lot of my gripes, a lot of my issues is coming from the kid that first watched Lilo and Stitch back in the day, and coming from the internal kid who still watches the animated Lilo and Stitch with my daughters on a regular basis. So it's like the events of that movie and the way that things transpire are always fresh in my head and kind of what I expect. So let's go down the list of things. One of the early spoilers that was put out there leading up into this weekend launch is there's no Captain Gantu, right? Stupid head, he's not there. He's not our primary bad guy. In his place is Jumba. So they still send Pleakley and Jumba down to find him, to capture 626, to capture Stitch, but there's no Gantu. This time, Jumba kind of takes the place of that role. And for the most part throughout the movie, he's kind of the same guy as what we saw in the animated. He's trying to do his job. He's trying to do it now his way after they get fired. But then at the very end, when Gantu is like much more hands-on and much more involved in that kind of climax, Jumba takes over. And for me, that was kind of weird, because I'm like, no, Jumba's supposed to become part of the family. He's supposed to be, part of the Ohana going into the TV series and the other movies and all that other kind of stuff. So for me, I was like, no, not Jumba. Sticking on Pleakley and Jumba and Pleakley. Billy Magnuson and Zach Galifianakis were cast as both the voices and the live-action actors in the alien cloaking mode. We were so sad to see that Jumba and Pleakley did not get to dress in drag. There was a release that one of the design people or someone that was closely involved with the film did try. They tried, and they had the mocked-up artwork and the concept art for Pleakley in drag, and I don't know if it was Disney that shot it down or whatever the case was, but for me, that's a miss. That was such an iconic moment when it came to these movies, was seeing this gigantic alien, and then with 4 eyes, and then this other one that has 1 big eye and is just like the worst possible disguises ever, but everyone around them was oblivious. That added to the fun of Jumba and Pleakley. So that was kind of a miss for me. Or something that kind of made me a little bit sad going through it. You kind of quickly got over it, I feel like, once you got zoned into the rest of the movie. But nonetheless, it's still something that I feel like was core to that film, to this franchise. The opening and the closing scenes, the bits that involved the Grand Councilwoman, they seemed very rushed. It seemed like they were trying to hit on the dialogue points that we needed to have to like move the story forward. But even just listening to it, it seemed like they were running through those different things. It seemed like they were running through those dialogue pieces, and it was just kind of weird, because I looked a couple of times around the theater and I'm like, this seems like it's almost sped up. So I was like, okay, maybe wish they would have spent a little bit more time on that. So that's from the alien standpoints, right? Let's focus on Lilo. Let's get down to earth. Let's focus on Lilo. Pudge the fish was there. He got a sandwich. I was really happy about that. That opening scene, and they were underwater, I was like, they better give me Pudge the fish. And Pudge the fish controls the weather. He was there. He made an appearance. I'm a happy kid. Okay, awesome. Lilo did push Myrtle, but she only pushed her. There was no biting. There was no tackling. There was no pickle jar, ladies and gentlemen. There was no voodoo pickle jar. So I was like, again, core fundamental trait of Lilo. I'm thinking, like, I reference that pickle jar thing on a regular basis when I'm at work or when I'm talking to people. So I was like, that and maybe, again, it's modern day, it's 2025, that could have just been a creative direction choice, but for me, I missed that. I'm like, I wanted the pickle jar, y'all. Looking at Stitch, there was no Elvis montage, so that was kind of weird for me to see. We got a little bit of it during the during the credits and whatnot like that, his names are going by. He's in Elvis and dancing around. Wish we would have seen that. Cobra Bubbles. He was CIA from the very beginning, right? He wasn't undercover from the get. We never got him as the as CPS. We never got him as any of that. So that was a little weird for me to see, but he still did it well. Again, it felt kind of rushed. There was no ugly duckling story. There was no I'm in the woods and I'm lost moment. That was kind of weird for me. Because again, I feel like that was a pivotal part of the story, and in Stitch finding his family and in Stitch finding his Ohana was understanding in that kind of like aha moment of like, oh my goodness, I can think faster than a supercomputer. I can see in the dark. I'm super strong. All these other things, but I'm alone. And I think that was one of those moments in the original where it was like that was your heartstrings right there, was Stitch kind of having that aha moment, that wake up call, and it never really happened. There was definitely some tear-jerking moments in this film, y'all. I'm not going to lie. And like I said before in my quick take, it took a different creative approach to it, right? Nani ends up going to college, and she ends up, Lilo ends up living with the neighbor, who is, oddly enough, David. David, and I'm going to assume his mom. So some creative liberties that were taken on it to tell. Ultimately, it was a different story than what we grew up with. It was not a bad story by any means. I think it was still really cute. It was still really well done. It had the core foundations of Lilo and Stitch. But again, I think they were kind of like placed in there. They were kind of sprinkled through to help push this other story that they were telling. Again, I'm not mad about it. I think that maybe some of the marketing could have been tailored towards that a little bit more. I feel like maybe they didn't do that because they were scared people were going to have a really negative reaction going into the film, expecting the story we grew up with and not giving us that. So again, I'm neither here nor there about it. I left the theater. I was a little, I was kind of looking around and I was like, they changed it. They changed the story that I grew up with. It's not bad, but they changed it. All in all, I recommend the movie. I think it's a great movie. I think it's super cute. It's still got that mischievousness that we would expect out of Lilo and Stitch. But you've got to go into it understanding that this is not the same movie that we grew up with. It is not the same. Like, the characters don't play the same roles that they played in the original movie to a certain extent, right? Again, Jumba being the bad guy now. The Grand Councilwoman kind of being sped through. Gantu just not being there at all. David was kind of a dummy in this one. I mean, he was always kind of a little bit of an airhead, but I feel like David in this one was like an actual dummy. Like, he was all sorts of just like, he was the one up in space. All in all, guys, though, I think the movie was great. They're already talking about sequels. Like, the movie's been out for like a day, and they're already talking about sequels and spin-offs and things like that. If you guys caught it at the end, if you've seen the movie, when Jumbo was saying that he was going to fix 626 and turn him into 627, he kind of like spiraled through some of his previous caseworks, and you can see some of the other experiments that he had worked on, right? You saw Angel, I think we saw Sandwich Guy, so we saw there was a little bit of a nod to those that makes me wonder, will we maybe get something like what we saw with the Lilo and Stitch animated series, where they were kind of tracking down and trying to find all of the different experiments. But I don't know how that would really work because Jumba got arrested at the very end of it. He didn't get to live on the island with, so again, I'm curious to see where they're going to kind of evolve with all of that. But anyway, super cute movie, guys. I know I've said it like 100 times, but it is. It's cute. You just got to go into it with the right mindset. And I will say, arguably, this might be one of the, like, cutest popcorn buckets I've ever seen. Big shout out to Marcus Cinemas with having these guys on hand. Got the pineapple version, not the coconut version. This guy, he's actually pretty big. I mean, he's pretty big. I kind of wish, I want to see if maybe if the pineapple here is sealed, maybe I can get a really, really big fruity umbrella drink in there, and Stitch and I can just have a drink together. But, yeah, all in all, guys, go check the movie out. It's totally worth it. And let me know what you guys thought. Put your takes, put your opinions down in the comment sections. Give this video a like. Make sure to hit subscribe on the channel for the next time that we drop a take. And until then, guys, see ya!